Well, hello there. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I wanted to share with you a watch sketch that I made a few weeks ago, months ago. I'm not really sure, but now. But yeah, in this case, is a scrunchie. Is one of my scrunchies. It's a silk scrunchie. I don't know how many times I'm going to say the word scrunchie, but I like it. I like the word scrunchie. In Venezuela, we actually call them colas or colitas, which in English would be tail or tails. I guess the name comes from how your hair looks like when you have them on. So yeah, I don't know. I was inspired by the way the light reflects on it and the shadows and all of that. I thought the fabric looked beautiful, and I'm not used to painting fabric or clothes or anything like that. So it was a pretty fun experience. I'm mostly focused on portraits, and when I'm not painting portraits or when the portraits include a bit more of the body, I don't really like clothes. I like my subjects to be naked or the nakedness to be implied. I like to paint skin. So yeah. In the beginning, I was actually going to make this sketch in watercolors because I paint with watercolors. I love watercolors. That's my main art supplies. I say main as if it's not my art supply, the only art supply, but halfway through the sketching, through the pencil sketching, I was like, you know what? I think this would actually look pretty good in gouache. So I used in this sketch my pointer jelly wash set. This is probably the second time in my life using gouache. I'm not a gouache girly, not a gouache artist. And this set in particular, as I said, is the second time using. It's my second time using it. By the time I wanted to use it now, it was completely dried. I had to revive it, and fortunately, I love that type of process. I love repetitive activities when it comes to art. I love mixing charts, and I love the process of rewetting these watercolors, this watch set. It was pretty fun. I enjoyed it so much, and the experience of painting this sketch was pretty good. Was pretty good compared to the first sketch I made when I first purchased this set. It was a nightmare. I'm going to be completely honest. Not because the set is bad. Actually, I think it's pretty good, but because I'm not used to using gouache. So when making the first sketch and when making the first sketch and that video that I made actually in Spanish, giving my first impressions and all that, I was still in the watercolor mindset, which is not good when you're going to work with gouache, because I was thinking in transparencies when in gouache you have to think in opacities or the semi-opacity that gouache can give you. And it took me so long to finish that sketch, and in the end I liked it. I think I got the hang of it halfway through, but it took longer than it should have. This time though, I was prepared, and actually the idea came to me on its own. It was like, you know what, I think this would look better in gouache. I think you'd be able to achieve the look that you want with gouache easier. And I don't know, it came to me, the whole process, the step by step. I think in the end it looks pretty good, and I really like this watch set. I think it's good. Previously, the only watch set I had worked with was a acrylic watch set by Sakura, and I didn't really like it because you cannot reactivate it. So what's the point? Other than that, there are paints here in Venezuela that are called pintura al frío. I don't really know how it would translate in English. I think it's like a fancy tempera, maybe an adult tempera, or a watered down acrylic, something like that. It's, thinking about it, it has a kind of wash texture, or it gives that wash effect, but it does not reactivate. So I don't really like it. When I was little, I liked it because it was what I had around, but now as an adult, I don't really like it. This watch set in particular, as I said in the beginning, is a jelly wash by the brand Pointer. I think it's pretty good. You have to take my opinion with a grain of salt because I'm not a wash artist. But looking at it, it looks almost identical to the Himi watch set. And one of my friends actually has the Himi set, and she said when she saw mine, she was like, "It's the same." It's exactly the same. The only difference is the name. I think it has the same colors. It has its own palette, and everything is almost identical. And by looking the painting process of other artists on YouTube, I think it behaves basically the same way. I like it. I think it was $8 or $12 when I bought it. I actually bought it here in Venezuela like 2 years ago, but it's probably pricier by now because everything here gets pricier by the minute. Whether it's in dollars, in bolivares, it doesn't matter. Everything gets pricier because of communism. Anyway, another thing that I find interesting is that I don't know how popular the brand Pointer is outside of Latin America. I don't know where this brand comes from. I think it's probably Chinese, but I don't really think I've seen videos outside of Latin America talking about Pointer, whether it's reviews, first impressions, nothing. And this brand has been around since forever, at least in Venezuela, since I was a little girl. Mind you, it was very cheap and bad and awful. It was the worst. I remember that when I was a little girl, like 5, 8 years old, whenever I was on vacation with my aunts and my dad, I used to forget my favorite art supplies at home, my favorite colored pencil, which were Faber-Castell and all of that. I used to forget that at home, so we had to run to Los Chinitos to buy anything we could find for me to paint, to draw, to calm down my addiction to painting and drawing. And Pointer was always available, always cheap, and it was the worst. Their color pencils were not pigmented. They were really hard and they would break all the time. It was the worst experience, but they were always around. You could find them anywhere. And they were like that till not so long ago. I remember buying one of their brush sets in like 2019, and it was the same awful quality, but very cheap, very attainable. It wasn't until like a couple of years ago, that I was looking for affordable, good art supplies in Venezuela to make a video about it. And I found a watercolor set in Mercado Libre, and I was like, this set actually looks good in the pictures. It looks pretty good, but it's Pointer. I was, really suspicious, and it was pretty cheap. The price was pretty good, and by what I could see on the pictures, it looked pretty good. I bought it, and I was so ready to give the worst review of it. I was sure it was going to be the worst watercolors in the world, but they shut me up. They were pretty good, especially for the price. I think I bought them, it's a 36 color set for like $9. I think it was less than $10. It has its own plastic palette, and it has a I don't know if it, I think it has 2 water brushes, which is, pretty good for the price. The texture and the quality, it's pretty similar to the Sakura color set, which I really like. It was my first fancy set when I was able to purchase our supplies outside of Venezuela back in 2016. And I think that the quality is pretty similar, and the price by that time, which was much lower. Right now, I think it's $17 because, as I said, prices go up all the time here in Venezuela. And at $17, I still think it's good. It's a good set. So when I saw the pointer had new image and a whole lot of new art supplies, more modern and with better quality, I bought a lot of stuff from them. I bought a liner set, which you could say is a dupe for the Micron set. They're pretty good. I think the Micron ones are still better, more precise. They're like actually designed for artists, but the pointer ones are not bad. They're actually waterproof too. I bought a brush set for the price. It was like $3-4. Pretty good. Feels very fancy for the price. I really liked it. I bought the wash set, the jelly wash set. I always wanted a jelly set just for shits and giggles. And I finally had it, and I'm pretty happy with it. And what else? Oh, their watercolor paper is pretty good, actually. I think my favorite thing is the watercolor paper. I don't really use their watercolors or the brushes or anything like that because I have my professional watercolors and my professional brushes. But their paper is pretty good. I use it for commissions. I think it's pretty similar to the Canson watercolor paper. If you ever see this brand around, I recommend it. It's pretty good. So yeah, this isn't a review or first impressions or anything about pointer, but I don't know how common it is outside of Latin America. Here is pretty common. You can find it anywhere, and with their new image and their new art supplies, it's very refreshing. It's really good. So if you ever see it around, they're pretty good. I recommend them. So yeah, I think that's all for this video. I hope you like it. Tell me what you think about my scrunchie. And if you've ever seen pointer around, or if you've ever tried their art supplies, leave your opinion down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked it and leave a like. And yeah, I'll see you around. Ciao.